Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself, Rahelia Parwati with NMP 234111051 class MNJ23C. Here I will do business mathematics courses from the lecturer Mr. Ade Kandra S. MMOK. Let's get straight to it. I'll review the material about the cost function and revenue function. Read it until the end to increase your understanding of the material this time. 1. Cost function. Economically defined costs or costs are the costs that producers must pay to produce goods and services until the goods are ready for consumption. Cost is a function of the amount of production, with output, notation C equals F, Q. C equals total cost. Q equals production quantity. The cost function is the relationship between costs and the amount of production produced. The cost function can be described in a curve, and the cost curve depicts points of possible costs at various levels of production. Apart from the definitions of fixed costs, variable costs, and total costs, the cost concept also includes the meanings of average cost and marginal cost. Average costs are the costs incurred to produce each unit of product or output, which is the result of dividing total costs by the amount of output produced. The marginal cost is the additional cost incurred to produce one additional unit of product. When discussing costs, there are several types of costs, namely A. Total cost equals TC equals C. Total costs are all production costs used to produce a certain amount of output, both fixed and variable. TC equals TFC plus TVC. B. Variable cost equals VC. Variable costs, Zulkifli, 2003, 34, are costs whose amount changes in proportion to changes in the volume of activity, but the cost per unit is fixed. This means that if the volume of activities is increased 2 times, then the total costs will also be 2 times the original amount. Variable costs are the total costs incurred by the company to obtain variable production factors. For example, labor costs, purchasing raw materials, auxiliary materials, etc. Total revenue is the product of the number of goods sold by the selling price per unit. Revenue is generally linear, because there is no reason why revenue decreases when production increases, except when selling prices decrease because production increases, supply theory. The non-linear form of the total revenue function, R, is generally in the form of an open downward parabolic equation. This is a form of revenue function that is commonly faced by a producer operating in a monopoly market. Meanwhile, the linear total revenue function is the revenue function faced by a producer operating in a perfectly competitive market. Average revenue, AR, is the average revenue per unit of production. It can be formulated AR equals TR/Q. Marginal revenue is additional revenue as a result of additional production, formulated MR equals increment TR/increment Q, or derivative of TR. MR equals marginal revenue. Increment TR equals additional revenue. Increment Q equals additional production. Based on the concept of revenue and costs, TR and TC, several possibilities can be. Total revenue is a function of the number of goods, also the product of the number of goods by the price of goods per unit. As in the concept of cost, in the concept of revenue the meaning of average and marginal is also known. Average revenue, AR, is the revenue obtained per unit of goods, which is the result of total revenue divided by the number of goods. Marginal revenue, MR, is additional revenue obtained from each additional unit of goods produced or sold. In analyzing costs, it is generally inseparable from analyzing revenue or total revenue. The definition of revenue or receipts is all income received from the sale of goods at a certain price level. Mathematically, total revenue is formulated as follows. TR equals PQ. TR equals total revenue. P equals price of goods. Q equals number of goods sold.